On tonight's episode of The Finish Line, me, Richmond Webb, and Mr. BallGame will discuss if the coaching staff has been the biggest issue for the Miami Dolphins against good teams this year. Tua takes accountability for the team's current record, but is he fully to blame? Are the Miami Dolphins looking to be down another offensive tackle this Sunday against the Jets? And has one position quietly become a glaring need for the Miami Dolphins in the draft and this offseason? We will talk about it all. Do us a favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown.
And he will score!
Field on the near side, man open, touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. It's not over the touchdown. He's in. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs in that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one on this episode powered by BetUS. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has happened since the last time us three gentlemen convened. I've been to Miami. The Dolphins have had their winning streak snapped, and now we're standing down the barrel of not being able to catch up to a Bo Nix-led Denver Bronco team. Gentlemen, how are you feeling? Hey, I mean, I guess, while we weren't doing the show, everything was hunky-dory because we were winning and stuff, but now we reconvene for yet another week coming off a tough loss. This one against Green Bay, where a multitude of things went wrong for the Miami Dolphins. We were 6 days removed. We'll talk about that as they get ready to take on the Jets for the first time this season. How you feeling, Richmond? Because I've seen the updates during the games of, hey fam, I'm still here. I got nothing to say or add to what's happening right now. How you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I feel all right today, but I think when you see a game like that and you see it slip away, happy belated Thanksgiving. I'm sure everybody had hopefully a good Thanksgiving with the family, friends, or whatever, and this weekend. But I got home and I watched the game, and I think the part that was disappointing was that we dug ourselves in such a hole so early in the game that it was, by the time we got things moving, it was too late, and you can't do that against good football teams. And I was watching the game, and then I looked at NFC North. I guess it is the North. You got Detroit with 1 loss, Minnesota with 2 losses, Green Bay with 3 losses. So they're probably in the toughest division in the NFC. So, I know they compete, try to, still think they got an opportunity to win a division if everything falls right. But I think that game was way more important to the Dolphins, especially, Tua going on injury reserve, and then we losing, 3 or 4 games that we possibly could have won. It's just tough if you kind of play back and look back, and you shouldn't. But I do it from time to time myself. But you look at it and you say, man, if we would have this, we wouldn't be in this position, and it wouldn't be so hard. And I think that's the tough part when you get in a position to where you really can't afford to lose. You got to play perfect football and play it for so many consecutive games in a row. I think that's tough. But I think the biggest thing for me that was tough, I was watching is, the way we started the game, and then when they punted to us and then muffed the punt or fumbled the punt return and then gave them great field position, they capitalize on mistakes like that. I think that's what was tough. So I was watching, but I just didn't have nothing to offer, and I just can't blow smoke up, people. I can't do that during the game because I'm watching. I'm like, man, ain't nobody trying to hear that. They seeing the same thing I'm seeing. So that's why I kind of put that tweet out there, because I was quiet as a church mouse watching the game. I was just like, man, we don't need to do this now. And I knew the narrative was going to start back again about the cold weather. We can't play in this and that. And of course it did. So other than that, I'm good. It's, like you said, we got the Jets this week, and then next week here in Houston, but we deal with the Jets this week. But other than that, I'm good. How you doing, Mr. BallGame?
Well, life's good, bro, because I'm not in a space of delusion anymore. This is not a good football team. There's a lot of great athletes on this team, but this is not a well-coached football team. There's too much freelance stuff. There's not a real commitment to the fundamentals that's going to carry them past their athletic abilities. And there's just no real buy-in from everyone in regards to what's best for the team. There's a lot of selfishness. Like I can recall as a youth football coach, when we were practicing punt, punting special teams, my kids used to all yell, even the ones on the sideline, "Get away, get away, get away." Right? That's 6, 7 years of age that these kids are doing this. And then for us to go out there on Sunday and have this kid knowing full well that, the elements are going to affect this ball, see it coming, know you can't cleanly get it, and then have that ball be turned back over to them in that instance. And unfortunate down in distance and territory where they can on 2 plays to put it in. Those are lapses, man. Those are things that are lack of coaching. Those are things that you prep your people in advance for. If you can't get it cleanly, get away from it, and we'll deal with the ball wherever it is. But you can't go out and do those things. And I don't blame. I mean, he's a young guy, so he'll have plenty of opportunities to make up for that. But in the same sense, I blame the guy who put him out there and didn't rep it up for him to make him understand. Listen, under no circumstance, unless you can get it cleanly, do you try to get it. And there's just so many other things, right? Like, in order for you to be able to brave the elements in football, it starts mentally first. You have to tell yourself that no matter what, I know this is going to hurt. I know this is going to be a painful process, but we're going to endure. And you have to believe in that together. I didn't see a lot of that. When you got your coach standing on the sideline looking like like he one layer less of a snowman and he all bundled up, that spreads out to everybody. And I get that it was cold, but the task at hand was to play football. And this is just not a really good coached football team. There's a lot of individuals playing at being a football team. And until they figure that out, and that starts at the top with leadership for me. So everything is about leadership. Chris Greer not acknowledging that the O-line could have been a lot better and making commitment to that. Coaches just not going back to the fundamentals. It's cool to tell guys what your philosophy is on defense and things of that nature, but if they don't truly get to doing drills that are going to actually make those things that much more repetitious for them and reactionary, then it don't really matter. And then you just out there just throwing shit against the wall and hoping that it sticks. And this is not a well-coached football team, not on any level. And that's why we are in the place we are, because even with Tua being down, there should have still been some structure in place that would have allowed us to beat the teams that we know we are more talented than, and should have beaten. Shouldn't have lost to the Colts. Shouldn't have lost to the Titans. No, those are two games that we definitely should have won just based on the roster alone, and we lost those games because of a lack of coaching, in my opinion. So,
well, we'll get into coaching in a little bit here when we get into the main topic of the show. Before we do, though, I just want to say a quick word here. This show, like I said, it's sponsored by BetUS. Go over to betus.com right now. Use promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. And right now, their odds for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Chop Robinson is the fourth highest in terms of odds at BetUS right now, plus 2,000. Fiskey's plus 1,100. Quinion Mitchell's plus 150. And Jared Verse is the favorite at minus 130. Go to BetUS right now. Use that promo code YouTube150. Get your first 3 deposits matched by 150% up to $2,000. Some of the quickest payouts in the industry, 24/7 customer service. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the channel and what we do over here on Finside the NFL. All right. And let's get back to the boys here. So, you were kind of touching on coaching right there, and I want to get into one of the main topics of the show is, is coaching the Miami Dolphins' biggest issue against good teams? And by that, I mean McDaniel, Weaver, and Crossman. In a way, are McDaniel and the defense and special teams holding Miami back against good teams? We've seen Tua against, let's look at it. Let's he's 3-3 since he came back to 3 losses. Arizona was considered a good team at the time. You look at that since then, who we've lost to, obviously Buffalo a second time, and then Green Bay. With Weaver, in those 3 losses, we've allowed 28 points or more. Crossman, I mean, you look at, everyone wants to just talk about the muff punt this past week. Why don't we talk about the first play of the game, allowing a 43-yard kickoff return to freaking set the tone against us and shorten the field? I've already rolled off these stats for my listeners, but you guys might not have heard them. If you look at the Buffalo game, Tua Tagovailoa, he posted the second highest passing EPA ever against the Sean McDermott Buffalo Bills team since 2017. Second highest ever. It was like plus 19.9. Okay? Here we go. The defense, 22nd worst performance from an EPA per play standpoint. Special teams, 7th worst EPA per play from an EPA per standpoint performance. And those are both against Sean McDermott-led Buffalo teams. I'll do you one better. Check this out. You want to hear something? This will blow your mind because I don't know if you guys heard this. So you look, because this is, Tua has to be perfect. That's just the fact of the matter. Anyways, check this out.
Which is crazy.
So that was week 9, right, against the Buffalo Bills. Up to that point, Tua Tagovailoa had posted the 9th best single game adjusted EPA per play performance by any quarterback up until in the first 9 weeks. He had the 9th best. Okay? The 8 others all won their games. Tua was the only one out of the top 9 EPA per plays out of quarterbacks up until week 9 that lost his game. And here's my point. Not only does Tua have to be perfect for us to stand a chance against good teams, even when he is damn near perfect, we still find a way to lose. So I want to ask you guys this. You look at McDaniel, you look at Weaver. Weaver might start getting a rep here as his defense beats up on bad teams, and then against good teams, where does the pressure go? Wow. Right? I mean, Jordan Love coming to that game had 11 interceptions in 9 games. He was averaging 1.2 interceptions per game. They couldn't get 1. He had 4 fumbles. He had 15 total turnovers in 9 games. They couldn't get 1, let alone pressures and sacks. So McDaniel, because this is what I'm seeing. I don't know what you guys are seeing the same. Tua is figuring out how to play these good teams. McDaniel is still behind the 8 ball. He's still, from a play calling and a personnel usage standpoint alone. Weaver is behind the 8 ball, and Danny Crossman been behind the 8 ball since Flores has been here. So when you guys look at this, I say all that to say this. What do you guys identify as the biggest issue right now that's holding this team back against good teams? Because, the 49ers are beat up, but they're a good team. We got to face them. Houston, Stroud's having a bit of a sophomore slump. We got to face them. We still got 2 decent teams left on the schedule. What do you guys think, and what do you guys ideas holding this team back against good teams right now?
For me, I think it's multitude things. BallGame hit on coaching earlier, but I don't. There's no continuity. It's. I mean, they go out there on the field, but sometimes it just looks like, I ain't gonna say they're going through the motions, but I don't know if the confidence level is. I don't know. It's something missing. Is something not right?
Well, let me add a layer to this, Richmond. Everyone wants to harp on Mike McDaniel because we went from a team for the 3 or 4 weeks heading into the Green Bay game. We're only taking like anywhere from none to 2 penalties a game. All of a sudden, we turned into a disciplined team. Against Green Bay, we had 10 penalties, right? So everyone wants to harp on him for undisciplined. Don't you harp on Weaver in the same sense for his defense having 20 missed tackles? I mean, I don't know if you heard the numbers, Richmond, but they had 20 missed tackles that led to 132 extra yards, and I'll do you one better. Check this out. Jordan Love threw for 274 yards, Richmond. 174 of those were after the catch. So if you're going to hold a coach to the standard of undisciplined football as players are taking penalties, can we sit here and say Weaver got his guys right if they were missing 20-plus tackles in a game?
Yeah, it's no excuse for that. And part of that's the blame on the coach, but part of that is, I mean, you're supposed to be a professional. So I understand missing a tackle every now and then, but by now, you should have some of that down. So I put some of the onus. That's why I say it's not just the coaches, some of the players. It's a combination of things that's causing things. And it was even early in the year sometimes where we would have a lot of penalties when you're already kind of struggling or playing a tight game, the less penalties and mental mistakes and stuff you make gives you a better chance to win. And it would just seem like guys would go out there and make penalties, and it just was like nobody seemed like they got upset. It was like no emotion, and I guess that's what I've been kind of looking for. I think I did see a clip where Calais Campbell's, and that might have been in the locker room or something, and we don't get an opportunity to see that. But normally on the field or something, I play with guys like Brian Cox or Dan Marino or OJ. I play with guys. If things not going right, we expected more. You know what I'm saying? It was like you weren't gonna just keep going out there every week. I'm not saying one game you won't have a bad game, but when it just consistently just trickles, and nobody reels it in, I guess that's the part that's tough for me. And I think it's like one point we're saying, oh yeah, we want to get to the playoffs, we want to do this and that. But whereas it just doesn't seem like no sense of urgency at times to me. So I'm just kind of like, it's more for me. It's more than one thing, and I'm not saying the coaches shouldn't be held to higher. They should, no question. But players should be. Everybody's got to be accountable. And I've seen some interviews with Tua trying to shoulder the whole lane. It's not his fault, and I know a lot of people don't understand football, so I just kind of. Like water bridge for me. I don't pay attention to them. But go ahead.
Well, you know what bugs me, Richmond? Everyone wants to blame Tua for our offense's inefficiencies in the first half. Check this out. We had 4 drives, right? First offensive drive, what happened? First play of the drive, Jonnu takes a false start to an H-N dig us out. Julian Hill then takes a false start to an H-N dig us out. Backbreaker, what happens? Jonnu takes a 15-yard unnecessary roughness, puts us back at 3rd and 29, can't get out of it. Okay. Second drive, we get a field goal, right? Third drive, and with back-to-back sacks. One, because Robert Jones basically rubbed out Teron Armstead, let Van Ness get free. Tua tried to step up and out. Van Ness is there, cleans it up. Second play, I'm sure you saw. Armstead did everything right, worked inside to help Robert Jones, but Mostert didn't chip the free rusher to give Armstead time to get back. That let the free rusher come, ended the drive. So those are, and then the fourth drive was where we turned it over on downs, and Tua made the throw to Malik that would have converted the third, but Malik couldn't hold on the ball, took the hit, dropped the ball, and then the fourth down he missed Achane, and early in that drive he missed Tyreek on the middle. So anyways, he had one bad drive out of the four, but my whole point is two of those drives weren't even within his control with how they ended. Like penalties and then poor protection and communications kill you.
When you got to keep digging yourself out of it's hard enough to make 10 yards, but when you put it where it's 15 or 20, 25, it's like your percentages just go way down. And the other thing is you're playing on the road, you're not at home. It's like it's penalties by guys that's been in the league long enough to where, and I'm not saying nobody ever makes a penalty, but it shouldn't be this consistent. And I think that's the thing to where it's not being reeled in. And this is, for me, it's been a problem all year long. And then even when we did the projections early in the year, the offensive line, Austin Jackson's hurt, which I knew about. The interior line is beat up to where it's just not, man, we got to upgrade the offensive line. I'll just say that it's a multitude of things, but yeah, definitely if we had an offensive line to where it was a little bit more consistent and solid, we could run a pass through that, it would take a lot of pressure off the offense as well. But making these penalties and putting us in longer situations to convert first downs is just tough. But yeah, I'll turn over the ball game. But yeah, it's more one thing, but I think that's the frustrating part for me.
Oh, well, you hit it directly on the head. It's a culmination of several different things, but the biggest thing that's probably stands out the most to me is the lack of urgency, and that to me all stems from the top. Right, I'm gonna hold everybody accountable because the players do indeed have their part because they're the ones on the field that needs to execute to the best of their abilities. But that there's a lackadaisicalness about this team where, oh, well, we down a little bit, but we got the pieces to fight back. Right? Names don't mean nothing if you don't have the ability to go out there and execute when you need to do it the most. And the fact of the matter is the layup situations where you don't have anything against you, there shouldn't be any reason why you're digging a hole for yourself. That's all a lack of focus to me, right? I mean, and that's what I'm saying. This team's this is not a mentally prepared football team. I mean, football is really 10% physical, 90% mental, right? The game you have to be able to see the game in your mind and know how you're going to go about attacking your opponent before you even get in front of him. And if you haven't done that, if you haven't prepped properly, if you haven't gone through all of the reps throughout the week to put yourself in the best headspace to know exactly what to expect from your outcomes when you get out there to run the routes or run a block and all this other stuff that they're required to do, then you already beat. And the fact of the matter is, I feel like they were more concerned about the elements than the individual in front of them. The other team got up and decided, you know what, we're gonna make it physical, because we know y'all don't want to be physical, and that's where they separated themselves. And unfortunately, you don't change narratives. I don't blame Tua. Obviously, this is probably the first time in a long time you're gonna hear me say this, but it ain't the kid. It ain't the kid, and it hasn't been him for quite some time. It's all these other pieces around him who think they're better than they truly are. And just because you did something and somewhere else long before, name don't mean anything if you can't produce for me what I need you to produce for me right now. I even call into question any blocking scheme where you actually asking a running back to take on a full-fledged defensive end without the tackle having to help inside first. Like, change up, put a tight end over there, do something else with a bigger body so that you don't have to ask your running back to do that. That's all coaching, though. You assume that you can do these little things and you're gonna get some outcome out of them that's gonna be successful. Then tell me the last time you've seen Raheem Mostert pick up a block that was truly beneficial to Tua or to this team. I'll wait. But they continue to do these things. So it starts from the top for me, man. I'm always accountable to hold the top first accountable. The coaches are the ones who are supposed to be game planning and figuring out exactly how this team's going to maximize all this talent they got. But then when they get into these spaces, you get it all dwarfed down because the pucker effect shows up, and the team on the other side is playing loose and free, and they're throwing caution into the wind and not worried about doing anything else but being physical with you because they know that if they keep putting their hands on you, they keep touching you, they keep rerouting you and moving you to spaces that you want to be in, eventually you're going to fold. So nobody else don't want to say it out loud, but they are soft. Elliott was right when he said it. They proved it again. And then when Jordan Brooks, after the interview, when they asked him, he said, we didn't show up. It is what it is. We played soft today. So
yeah, because if you watch the tape, Jordan Brooks is one of the only guys you can tell giving 110%.
Sideline to sideline. Yes. Yes.
There's like 5 guys you can sit there and say on defense.
Yeah.
Ramsey, Brooks, Sealer, Campbell, and Chop Robinson are giving everything on every rep.
Yeah.
They're the only guys.
That's it. That's it. And everybody else is out there just playing the part and not committed to the physicality of the game.
Yeah, but here's what's scary to me about that ball game. You were staring down the barrel at getting back to 500 and being in the thick of the playoff race, and that wasn't enough to get you up and out of your seat? That wasn't enough to motivate you? That wasn't enough to galvanize you guys as a unit? And I know there were certain guys that were galvanized. We just named a couple. Tua sure as hell looked galvanized because he wasn't stopping till the final whistle went.
Right. Well, think about it though. Think about the names, right? You're talking about a guy who's gonna be. You're talking about Jalen Ramsey, who's gonna be a Hall of Famer one day. You're talking about Jordan Brooks, who came from an organization where he actually was the reason why they got rid of one of the best linebackers that ever played the game, in Bobby Wagner. So he understands toughness. He had to exhibit that early on for them to even feel like they could move on from Wagner to him. But the injury took away what he had going as far as success up there. Zach Seiler has always come to work. Always been a lunch pail guy, so you know what you're going to get out of him. Calais Campbell has been a professional at 38 years of age since day one. And then, who was the other one we said? Chop Rob. What? The young gun who's down there, who is standing on the sideline. Every time you get a pan over to see him, he over there sitting over there talking to Calais Campbell. He is picking up what Calais is putting down. You feel me? Yeah. So those 5 guys, never have no question marks about them, but the rest of them, you got rid of Long, which was a good idea because he was a liability. But
Javon Holland wants $20 million.
Where the hell is Walker? Where's Walker?
He's hurt, right? I ain't seen a $20 million effort from Holland. That's all I know.
That part. And Jordan Poyer and yeah.
Do you like how we released? Do you like how we released Marcus May? And he goes and gets an interception the first game with his new team.
Imagine that.
The back of the end zone.
Some things are different, man. The energy.
You know what's crazy? Bro. I'm sitting here in December, and I'm ready to say not only was Deshaun Elliott right, but was Fangio right.
Fangio right. Well, I didn't like that Vic.
Sounds like Fangio didn't like that there wasn't an adult in the room, and he had to be the adult he didn't want to be.
Yep, there it is. Exactly. You said it out loud, and I agree with it 100%. It's all mentality, man. I mean, like at the end of the day, bro, I'm still 100% convinced, and ain't nobody tell me differently. A Lamborghini and a Ferrari look amazing. But that goddamn Chevy, that Chevy Z06, that Corvette will run them to death every day because it's built different. You got to be built different to be able to play the NFL game. And we have a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, Lamborghinis. But the Chevrolets and this, we don't have that old American muscle, man. They want to be flashy. They want to be out there with a whole bunch of finesse. And finesse don't work for you this time of year. You got to be willing to get dirty. You got to be willing to get physical with people. And when people show up and are physical with us, we lose. Colts out physical with us. Titans out physical with us. Green Bay out physical with us. Buffalo out physical us twice, even though we took them down to the last minute for a late-minute field goal. They were still more physical than us. Every inch counts. Every tackle. I saw so many arm tackles on Sunday. I mean, in that game, bro. That I told my son, I said, man, we might well just be one of them things that be on the side of the road in front of the car dealership. That's it, bro. Because this is how everybody was going in tackling, bro. Like, no form tackling whatsoever. Only person who was doing it was Jordan Brooks, bro. Crazy to me. And then, I ain't never seen so many cats let a guy.
Can I say something? I love Calais Campbell. I think he's been great, but I don't know if you guys have noticed it. He's missed a lot of tackles in the backfield this year.
Yeah.
Like he's missed he's had a lot of chances to stop plays for 2, 1, 3-yard losses, and you see him even bangs the ground when he misses them because he's missed quite a bit. You know,
that's true.
5 or 6 in the backfield, easy.
But I'm a little less inclined to hold a 38-year-old to the same.
No. Hey, that guy's made Wilkins a distant memory.
Can you imagine what we look like without him?
Oh man.
Good Lord.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, think about this. You went from being absolutely loaded at edge to now Ogba's slowed down. Chop's got no help. Right. No help whatsoever. If Calais and Sealer don't draw a double or penetrate to open things up for him, he's pretty much on an island. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. See, okay, listen. The question was, what's the biggest issue that's holding us back in these big games? And I do think right now the biggest issue for us is coaching in all 3 phases. I think Danny Crossman of special teams.
He's horrible, bro.
Anthony Weaver, your defense has got to be allowed. Listen, top 10 defenses allow 18 to 20 points a game. Yeah, you can't be allowing 28 or more every time you face a team above 500. Right. You can't. That's not fair to ask your offense to be perfect every time you play a good team because it's football. No one can be perfect every time. This is not fair. And then, McDaniel. And then you got McDaniel lets players on the offense down. Personnel usage. Perfect example, gentlemen. Okay? Achane gets us to the 1-yard line, right? You throw the ball and then you run the ball. You got Jalen Wright. You've got Raheem Mostert, who had 21 touchdowns, and a lot of them came in the red zone last year. Right. And then, gentlemen, you activated Jeff Wilson Jr. for what?
And then
why are you not using the bruiser backs inside the 1 when you already had issues earlier in the game against Green Bay getting short yardage conversions?
Yeah.
Like, do you know? Like, I don't know if you guys saw. At one point, we had 18 first downs. 17 of them were passing.
Yeah, that's what
we
completely abandoned the run game.
No, we're going back to Marino days of where this team just can't run the fucking ball and it's just throw it for everything.
Yeah,
and that's not to his game, man.
But that was a game. That was a game where no matter if you didn't get what you wanted initially, you have to continue to still try because all you do is send us all you do is send a signal up to the other side. Tee off.
Yeah, you got agreed. And then what happens? 5 sacks.
5 sacks.
Right? Yeah. Dude, we had 14 rushing yards at halftime. Finished with 39. Holy jeez. Oh, we're getting to days that were darker than when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was here. This is brutal. Holy jeez. I remember when we got Kareem. That was a revelation. I was like, oh my God, 1,000-yard back. What is this?
Yeah, and these cats got their money too.
You know?
He ain't got nothing in return. Tyreek don't even have 700 yards.
Oh, look at OBJ. Never mind making catches right now in the hands and catches through traffic. Yeah, he can't even separate.
Yeah. Where's River Craycraft? That's what I want. Shit.
Well, they're not giving him a lot of reps. Yeah, I would be giving him. I said this last week. Would you? I would. After what we've seen from OBJ, should you be now that he's healthy? Should you be giving the reps to Craycraft instead?
Yes.
That's
I
a
don't
real
give a damn
question.
about no names. I don't care about no names right now. I care about productivity.
Yeah. Been reflecting recently. Do you think the Tyreek trade put some unrealistic expectations on such a young head coach who had zero experience handling the job? I mean, I think there's been unreal expectations from the beginning with Mike McDaniel because of the roster and everyone we had with it. I mean, I've said this before. What people aren't realizing right now, and Tua's starting to turn the corner. Tua's starting to be clutch. Tua's starting to be good against these good teams. The problem is we are still going through the motions and the learning curves of a first-time head coach learning what to do in crunch time, how to use his personnel in crunch time, how to game plan, how to play call in big games. We're still going through it, and it looks like we're going through it with Weaver, and we've been going through it since Flores was here with Danny Crossman. I don't think that'll ever. My God, I remember when we had Darren Rizzi and how I miss those days of Rizzi compared to what we have with this right now. I don't, bro. That man has got, never mind pictures on one person. That guy's got pictures on families over there. I don't know what's going on over there.
He's got to have some very incriminating evidence.
But what do you guys think about that? Do you think the Tyreek trade put unrealistic expectations on a young quarterback?
Head
coach.
I do feel like bringing Tyreek in put higher expectations on the organization as a whole. Yeah,
accelerated it.
It definitely makes things a little more. We got to get this together.
Results.
Yeah. So there's no way around that when you bring in a name like that. But the problem with that still becomes that you got a baby in a position where you asking a teenager to essentially be, because most of these guys still ain't been coaching that long. Like LaFleur really ain't been coaching that long, but and the success that they've had in San Francisco it's been pretty decent. But 49ers can't beat the Packers. You're noticing that, right?
Well,
he can't beat them. He can't beat the Packers. So they're all in that same circle, those friends. But Mike's the youngest of the group, the one with the least amount of head coaching experience. So yeah, it's gonna be a struggle. You know what I mean? But my question still becomes, who the hell does he have that that's standing next to him, not guiding him through this process? Just letting him stand. And at this point right now, if it was me, I'm coming in from the GM perspective. I'm telling him, hey man, get your ass off the sideline, bro. Get up in the box. We don't need you down here. Because what are you really doing down here? You can have a representative down there. I can see everything from the box. But you got to learn how to call the game the way other offensive coordinators call it first. And then you work your way down to the sideline. Because then at that point, you found somebody else that sees and understands your philosophy, know what you want in crucial situations, and they can do that from up there. And now you can go down there and be an actual coach and walk around and deal with the referees and do all this other stuff. Trying to call plays and not be able to talk to your DC when he's struggling too, and y'all standing at the opposite ends of the darn 50, or the 40s, looking at each other like two damn fools, is never gonna get this fixed. So he gotta give up something. Like Andy Reid don't even call his plays no more. Andy makes suggestions towards what they're gonna call in crucial situations because that's what he's supposed to do. He has the most experience, but he trusts his OC.
And then when you get to the playoffs, him and Mahomes plan,
yes, exactly.
With the OC, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah,
exactly.
That's when he gets more involved. When it's crunch time in the playoffs, you'll see Andy Reid get a little bit more involved.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. This man's eating a Rice Krispie square like it's nothing while we live. All right. Okay.
And didn't bring us one. Didn't bring us
nothing. Bro, I'm gonna tell you this. I was in Orlando, boys, and I went to Animal Kingdom, and it was a Rice Krispie, and then they put graham cracker, and then they put marshmallows and chocolate drizzle onto. It was a s'mores Rice Krispie. It was unbelievable. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you go down to Florida. BallGame, have you been to Gideon's?
Yeah.
In Disney Springs, the cookie place?
Yeah.
Bro, you need to go into this Richmond. It's at Disney Springs, that out where you can like walk around and stuff. It looks like Harry Potter inside, but the cookies are like unfreaking real. They're like this big. And bro, there's a lineup to get in. Like we waited 20, 25 minutes to get in.
Yeah, they remind me of crumble cookies.
But better.
Oh, yeah, we got crumble here.
Yeah.
But they're better than crumble on crack.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. All right, so continuing on here, Tua, he took some accountability today. He said he's very surprised on the team being 5-7, but he said, quote, "It doesn't show the character we have as a team and the work we've put in the offseason. I would say this comes back down to me leaving my team out to dry by putting myself in harm's way in week 2. So you got a quarterback taking full accountability, takes full blame for himself. We've already covered that neither of us fully blame him for the situation because since he's been back, we've been 3-3. And realistically, gentlemen, we should have beat Arizona. We should have beat Buffalo if the defense did their job in the second half. I mean, I go back to that Buffalo game, boys. They didn't have a stop for the last 41 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
That Ramsey interception was with over 11 and a half minutes left in the second was the last stop they got of that game. Like, you can't win games doing that against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Like, you just can't. So I mean, shout out to Tua for taking a little bit of accountability, but the Denver Broncos, they won against Cleveland on Monday. And gentlemen, it's just, I don't know the playoff outlook. The 8-4 Chargers, they feel like they're locked in. The Ravens, I don't see the Ravens missing the playoffs. They're 8-5. The Broncos, I think they're the only shot you really have because Denver's on a bye this week. Then they have to close out against the Colts, the Chargers, Cincinnati, and then at home against Kansas City. So if the Dolphins were to win out and the Broncos lose twice, Miami would make the playoffs, provided, you need Indianapolis to lose one of its 4 final games. And Indianapolis, gentlemen, has Denver, Tennessee, the Giants, and Jacksonville without Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence was announced to be out for the season. He's getting shoulder surgery on his AC joint, as well as the concussion put him on IR. I said this yesterday, gentlemen. If this team doesn't make the playoffs, not a matter if, but it looks like when this team doesn't make the playoffs, they got no one to blame for themselves, because you should realistically be, even let's say Tua was out, you should be 5-1. You know what I'm saying? Since he came back in those 6 games, you should only, with the way this offense played against Arizona. Yeah, I know the Mostert fumble, but we recovered from it. Arizona and Buffalo, this team should be 5-1 since he came back. I mean, this team should be at worst right now, what? 7-5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you guys look at I know you guys are probably thinking what I'm thinking, and we already all know what that is.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
I know that's what I'm thinking about right now. But where are you guys at?
1 week at a time.
Where are you guys looking at for this pyro? Are you guys looking for this playoff outlook right now? Because I told you this. Here's my stance. They need to beat the Jets, Houston, and San Francisco for me to even consider buying back in. Where are you guys at? Because I know Richmond picks us to win every week. So I know that's got to be teetering at least a little bit right now.
I got that out a few weeks ago, Reason. You forgot that. I think it's going to be tough. And the only thing, let's just say for some reason, they went out. I mean, how do you feel as far as going into the playoffs? And when you mention everybody is not giving 100% or everybody's not buying in, when the playoffs start, you got to raise your level of play. It's a different level if you expect to not just make it there, but to make it there to play and win. And you already got to have the mindset. If we make it in the playoffs, we've got the seed. So we already know we're going to play the number 2 seed out the box. If your mind, it's like, I don't think nobody wants to see the Dolphins go to the playoffs and then do a kind of a repeat performance of what we did last year. That's just a bad taste in your mouth all off season. So I think it's going. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I definitely, the game that kind of concerns me is the 49ers game and the Texans game. I mean, watch the go around. He's a good young coach, but they get after you and they compete and they try to play a little physical football. They got some offensive line issues as well. They got some penalty issues as well, but they do come to compete and they're gonna scrap with you this and when you can kind of see, like, what y'all were saying, when it just doesn't look like everybody's bought in, everybody doesn't have that sense of urgency to say, hey, we need to come together and as a group. It's hard to buy into that. And I know each week you see the interviews and they say, oh, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then you watch the game and you be like, So I think it's going to be tough for us to make the playoff. I'm not saying it's impossible, but my concern is if we do make the playoffs, are we gonna look like a playoff team, or are we gonna just look like somebody
One
just
and
kind of
done.
just
Yeah, we got
you know
there.
what I'm
We're
saying?
long
I
time.
don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to do that, man. That in itself is worse than not making the playoffs at all, in my opinion, because that just shows really and truthfully you never even meant to be there. You shouldn't have been in the first
You were a
place.
fringe playoff team.
Yeah.
You were never a real serious
Yep.
contender.
And I don't want to go through that. I'd rather miss it completely, and then have these guys go. I'm so at a point, man, with professional sports, bro. Like real talk, like because a lot of these cats, man, they get paid for what they've either done previously, as opposed to what you're doing now. I think everybody else in the world, when they go to work, bro, you have to put your hours in and work. Like it's different now. Football is different now. When Richmond played, you saw the results of what they were working towards on Sundays. They were, you know what I'm saying, cats was really professionals about it. Nowadays it's only about, you know what I'm saying, the individuals out there only about themselves, and there ain't really but one or two actual real teams. Detroit's a team, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause they do everything when
Kansas
the
City.
offense in Kansas City, when the offense,
And those are my Super Bowl picks.
you
That's
see what I'm
what's
saying?
cool.
When the offense is on, the defense is right out there cheering for them, and when the defense do something well, the offense is picking them up. There's only really like two teams, like full teams in the NFL right now, and everybody else is just pretending at being teams. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of other places are getting exposed, and that's what happened with us. We got exposed. Too finesse, too laid back, wrong type of culture, not enough leadership at the Dolphins right now, and that will kill you quicker than anything else. It's worse than having players that don't like each other and things of that nature. 'Cause you can move a player and bring somebody else in and fix that, or you know what I'm saying. There's certain ways to go about dealing with that with player only situations and lean on your veterans for. But when you got more than just the vast majority, you got 53 on the roster and only maybe 10 really have bought into being football players.
Yeah.
That's a problem, right? And I even question Tyreek, man. Like, how's it gonna be fourth down and you stand on the sideline, bro?
But is that a Mike McDaniel personnel situation?
Just saying though. Right? There's no way. If
Are you talking about the play where Ingold fell down?
Yeah.
Where fourth and goal, where But both, I'll do you one better. I think that was personnel. You know why? He didn't have Jonnu out there either.
It's crazy, bro. Like,
Waddle was the only big threat on that play.
Make any of that make sense?
What did I say, bro? I said this guy can't call plays and he doesn't know how to use personnel in big games.
If I'm the dog that I say I am, there's no way in hell the coach is calling any personnel package, and I'm not on the field, bro.
This guy went from seeing a fullback dive work to he couldn't get away from it to now he's handing it off to Achane instead of the fullback from the 1 yard line when all game we hadn't been able to get short yardage.
Isaiah looked over at me when we was on that play down there in the goal line. My son looked over at me and said, "Where the hell is Alec Ingo?"
Bro, dog. Yeah, they had him out. They had him motion to run on a freaking route. Dog, you know what's crazy? Go back to that live stream. When Achane got that gain and got us down to the 1, I literally said, this isn't good. We didn't punch it in. Like, I know how I automatically assume we're going to fail at a short yardage situation. Unless Tua completes some kind of pass, we're pretty much cooked.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just what it is right now. Guys, this week we got the Jets. Now, Kendall Fuller practiced on a limited basis on Wednesday. Today, McDaniel said he's optimistic Fuller will play Sunday. Kader Kohu, he was a limited participant. Anthony Walker, who missed the Green Bay game with a hamstring injury, did not practice, but will likely practice on Thursday, McDaniel said. Guys, Kendall Lamb. Kendall Lamb has a painful elbow injury, and he wasn't at the portion of practice open to the media. Right tackle against the Jets could be Patrick Paul, or did you see what they did today? The Miami Dolphins went off, and they elevated, and they signed right tackle Jackson Carman, the former Cincinnati Bengal and Clemson player. They signed Jackson Carman, and Cam Smith was placed on injured reserve. They brought back Jason Maitre to the practice squad. But yeah, we might have Patrick Paul or
at this point, go with the young
Jackson
boy,
Carman at right tackle. Bradley Chubb and Cameron Good, they practiced for the first time since last season today. So there you go. That's good. Poyer, Isaiah Wynn, Raheem Mostert, Benito Jones were all limited. Blake Ferguson, he's been designated to return. So big news though. Might be down a tackle this week.
I'm okay with Patrick Paul playing in the limited time that they've given him. He looks like a rookie, but he don't play like one.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, last game he did. He played one snap and it was awful. He basically, gave up a sack, but it's basically one of the main reasons he took a sack. Yeah. So, because the right side's not his natural side, right?
Exactly.
That's a left guy.
Well, I was just about to say that.
But here we go. The usual. Let's flip-flop guys around instead of getting them entrenched in what they're comfortable and what they're used at. Let's flip it. By in 2 years, this guy will have played everything but center. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
At
6'8",
here we go.
At 6'8", 338 pounds too. That's crazy.
You guys think we win this week, even with these injuries?
No.
Wow, you think we lose to the Jets?
Yeah.
Great.
It was never lost to the Jets, bro.
It ain't.
They're a bigger disaster than us.
But here's the thing, though, right? There have been other teams that are a bigger disaster than us. We lost to them too. There's different motivations, man. Like some of these teams are just when the physicalness shows up, we leave the room.
I'm gonna tell you this much: if they lose to the Jets, it's not going to be a good situation.
Well, man, head's got to roll, man. It is what it is. With Greer,
I don't think we're going to personally lose. I don't think we're going to lose this week.
Well, I don't know.
It's Houston and San Francisco, even with a beat up San Francisco, because you know what's going to happen against San Francisco, right? They got Mason out now on IR. They got McCaffrey out. That Isaac Guerrero kid, who everyone was loving in the draft process because of his athletic profile, he's going to have a career game against us on the ground. Watch. That's exactly what's going to happen, bro. I can already see it. What do you think, Richmond? You think we win this week? Because I do.
I think we should be able to. I mean, the Jets playing pretty bad. I think we should win this week. The following week is the one that's really kind of.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah.
Where the bad news bad.
Yeah.
Right now.
Are you going to be there for the Houston game?
Yeah.
Yeah, you better give them some pep talk. I'll let them know what the hell the deal is.
They ain't gonna listen. They think they know everything. That's the problem. This generational football player is whack right now, Brad. High school football is the only football we're watching.
Okay, you ready for one? Right, this is right up BallGame's wheelhouse. Cam Smith got placed on injured reserve.
South.
Are we? This is word of the week. SAWFT.
Yeah.
South. Okay. Has cornerback all of a sudden, and who's been very up and down.
Gotta go get one.
Has cornerback all of a sudden become a need for the Miami Dolphins in the draft? I'm a big fan of this kid, Will Johnson, out of Michigan. I think Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame is fantastic too. Obviously, Travis Hunter will be gone, right? You got Denzel Burke, Davison Igbonason, Cam Miller, Mansour Delane. Yeah, you got some good kids coming out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Is all of a sudden corner a top priority in the draft for the Miami Dolphins right now?
Should be, as far as I'm concerned, because of all of the injuries and the lack of. You only have truly, if we really being honest, in this time of looking at this team from the secondary back, you only got one real dog. It is what it is. Javon Holland has been a major disappointment this season. Jalen Ramsey is still Jalen Ramsey, but nobody beats Father Time. So if you do anything smart, maybe you move him back to one of those safety positions to prolong his play, right? But you need boundary guys. You're gonna need some young dogs to be able to come in and be able to compete and give you what you need out there. And that's because without it, they're not going away from being a passing league anytime soon. So yeah, that jumps to the forefront in terms of how I see it. You got to get you a pedigree. You got to get you a pedigree. You got to get you you got to get you a dog.
Need a corner. What do you think, Richmond?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think, the aspect of it is too is when you study film, you're gonna always go at the weak link. So Jalen will sit there, and Ramsey, he'll sit there and kind of chill because you go at the path of least resistance. And if it's easier to move the football on that because it's that big of a difference in your cornerbacks and stuff. I'm not saying they won't throw a Jalen Ramsey, but the majority of the work will be to the opposite side, wherever he is. So definitely when you got two corners, you can really set your defense. I remember we had X and Jones, and then when I played with Surtain and Madison, it just makes it, when you got two really good corners, it just, even if you want to blitz your safety, it's good because you can leave your corners on an island and you can free up somebody. So definitely that would be a huge, I think that's something definitely got to be priority. And interior offensive line got to be a priority too. And but yeah, I would definitely say corner. Definitely, I think everybody would be happy with that pick. A good corner.
Yeah, it seems like this might be one of the more less sexy draft where you got to address the secondary, safety, and corner, and you got to address the trenches on both sides. Right? That's what it feels like early on heading into this draft, at least for me. This is how I view it, at least. So, hey, it is what it is. You guys got any score predictions for this week? Final thoughts?
I got us in. I don't have no. It's hard, man, when it's no consistency. And you see, it's kind of like you said. I think and I'm probably wrong. I hadn't checked the stats, but it seemed like the last game I watched, we're more efficient on fourth down because we couldn't get third down and 1. That's concerning when you can't punch it and get a yard and stuff like that. So, until we got some holes we need to fix, but I think we can win this game. I see us scoring somewhere 24, 28 points. I think our offense is capable of that. But man, I just kind of watch and just hope, but it ain't. You just don't have that confidence. Like you say, if you look at the roster on paper, you'd be like, man, they should be rolling, but it's not. So yeah, I think we win. But yeah,
and you were right. They were 4 for 14 on third down against Green Bay, but they were 3 for 5 on fourth. So you were right.
That's crazy.
What do you think, BallGame? Final thoughts?
So I think it'll be a very competitive game on Sunday, just based on the fact that I do believe that they're in a little bit more disarray than we are. We'll probably wind up winning the game. The problem is that I don't have higher expectations other than it being a close game, which shouldn't even be the case, really and truthfully. I think Aaron is falling off a cliff slowly, and there ain't nobody coming to rescue him. So they're a shit show over there in that aspect. But the Dolphins, really and truthfully, man, something's got to be done for these guys to understand that in order to get the respect y'all want, you got to go out there and be willing to put everything on the line to earn it. And until they do that, they're going to continue to be the team that consistently has new records made up of them that are contrary to the groups in the 72 and 73 team that actually freaking set a record that everybody's still chasing to this day, or the perfect season. I mean, and nobody wants to have that conversation anymore.
Isn't it crazy how, gentlemen? Isn't it crazy how we went from beating Denver last year 70-20, and now we're chasing them for the final playoff spot?
Yeah.
And we're a far more complete roster. Sean Payton's still turning that roster over.
Well, yeah, he's a veteran
but
coach.
Look at, they can win games where Bo Nix throws 2 interceptions. We can't. Right? Yeah. Just like the Detroit Lions won a game this year where Goff had 5 interceptions. Josh Allen against the Colts, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Bills still scored 30 points and won that game. We can't do that stuff. We never do that stuff.
Think about it. You even think about, like you said, Sean Payton, he traded, Judy. How many people with the caliber wide receiver is and young as he is, you say, okay, yeah, you ready to go? Go and get him out of here. It's like,
Yeah.
So they just figured that they can do more. He's a real coach, though. He can do more with less. And his defense, they play real team defense. Surtain, Premier, he gonna lock down a whole.
This is the
side
problem
for you.
with, dude. He has like how many years of coaching on McDaniel? That's the issue.
Yeah.
Right. So, listen, I'll be back tomorrow with Neil for Fin Too Deep around 5 p.m. Be sure to join us tomorrow for that. We got a good topic to talk about. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Help us out with the algorithm. Make sure you smash that like button. And we will see y'all in the next one. Until then, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day.